Hey, what's cracking, people? I'm going to make another video. This is kind of part 2 off of the Great Pie in the Sky that I made. And I'm going to kind of correlate it with sacred geometry, Euclidean geometry, and I made a video a while back about the logos, somatics, energy, frequency, vibration, word, all that good stuff. But also I made a video about tuning my guitar to 432 hertz. And that video talks about sympathetic resonance and how I think it manipulates people's brain. And I talk about somatics and the geometric impressions and how I believe that the 432 makes just a little bit more perfect geometry in the sand or the water. But another thing that's cool about that number and why I like it more than just that alone. In Eastern philosophy, Om, a lot of those chants are right at about 432 hertz, but they say Nada Brahma, which means the world was made with sound, energy, frequency, vibration, or the word logos. But Brahma had 4 horns, 3 feet, and 2 heads, 432. He had 10 hands, scored 7. And do the multiplication, that's 4,320,000,000 years, which is an approximate age of the Earth, which science right now thinks it's about 4.5 billion years. But now, my last video about piety, I got into the radius. If piety interests you, or pious, watch the other video. But I talked about the sun and its heavenly measurements, the diameter, and how this hand is a radius. And radius was a Roman word for ray, as in ray from the sun, spoke, staff, or perhaps a staff or spoke on the wheel of time. And it just happens that this radius of the sun is 432,000 miles roughly. Okay, and this is embedded into ancient biological architecture like the pyramid and all kinds of wonderful structures throughout the world. The ancients knew this stuff. So the year of our Lord has more, and I talked about the music of the spheres and music and how it correlates to this and frequency and all that stuff. And that can get really esoteric for people because the math starts getting kind of crazy, but I'm just going to throw a little bit out there. So when you square 432, you get the heavenly measurement, the diameter, you get 864,000 miles, which is just about the diameter of the sun. Also, when you mathematically reduce 4, 3, and 2, or you add 4 plus 3 plus 2, or I said reduce, but when you add them up, you get 9. This number here. There's no coincidence that these are shaped like little Fibonacci ratios or little spiraling galaxies. I've already talked about this sacred number, 3, but I want to talk about 6 and 9. When you look at the spiraling out, the Fibonacci ratio, when it gets to 13, they say it perfects. Well, you got 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, and 13. Okay, 6 sacred numbers in the spiral of the galaxy. Or we'll look at that as the macrocosm, and then here we'll look at the microcosm, or in a sense, the spiraling out and the convergence in. This is going to sound crazy, but it all has to do with geometry, and not just sacred, but the Euclidean geometry as well. So when you start timesing 432 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, you get all kinds of sacred numbers that you'll find through all sorts of religions. And whether they use the mile, which is basically 1,000 paces, and that's why you can take 432 and times it by 1,000, because the mile is basically an ancient 1,000 paces, the average foot. Yeah. Excuse me. Like when I'll just throw a couple things out there. When you multiply all these numbers by 432, they all mathematically reduce down to 9. Okay, for the most part, as far as I've added them all up, they mathematically reduce down to 9, or add up to, reduce and then add up to 9. And another thing, and I think Tesla was obsessed with 3, 6, and 9, or because he said, I believe he had a quote that said, if you understand 3, 6, and 9, then you can understand the secrets of the universe. So, and we measure everything in the universe, so the one spoken word, the logos, with this. And it's correlated with the atomic clock, the vibration of the atoms. So, is it arbitrary? I don't think so. Maybe. I don't know. So, let's see. Okay, so I kind of introduced the frequency part of it, and the circle of fifths here. Last time I showed you my tattoo and how the Vesica Pisces, which is the core of this flower of life, unfolds into this, and the nodes all touch on this proverbial yoke before it breaks out into the galaxy, into the 13th. If we start putting Euclidean or some sacred geometry in here, you get some really funny things too. So if you have 360 degrees in a circle, okay? So when you cut that diameter in half, you have 180. Well, 3 plus 6 is 9. You cut that diameter in half, you get 180 degrees, and 1 plus 8 is 9. If you draw out 4 quarters on the cross of the zodiac, you get 90 degrees in each one. 9. If you put a triangle in there, you're going to get 60-degree corners, which is 180. So 1 plus 8 is 9. If you put the cube, Metatron's cube, in there, which can be done a couple ways, but just a regular cube in there, you have 4 90-degree angles, which is 360 degrees, which is deduced down to 9. You put a hex in there, an octagon, a nonagon, a dodecagon. The dodecagon, you get 144. And you add the meal to that, 144,000, and it's a really sacred number. And that deduces to 9. You could put the Undekogan. I can't even remember all the words to the polygons. They get really complicated. But those all mathematically you can put in here and deduce those down to 9. So, tuning my guitar to a more precise geometric order, and remembering that 432 is the radius on the sun, or the hand of God, is another reason why I like to tune my instrument that way. This one's obviously a little more esoteric than the last one. This whole number system, too, if you add everything up to 8, which is considered an infinite number, and if you time-lapse photography the sun, you'll see that it makes this pattern in the sky, an infinite pattern. All of these numbers add up to 9. Okay. So much information. So much information is right here in front of us. A lot of these simple geometries we learn in elementary school, even kindergarten, we start to learn triangles and stuff when we kindle the flame of enlightenment, and we move on to grade 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, until we graduate and maybe we can go for another 13 and get a PhD in philosophy. And then they'll put a square on you and make you square and mortarboard your head. Anyways, I'm getting off track. This knowledge is really important, and as we get into the digital age, and this is not hanging on our wall, it's going to get lost. So teach your kids how to do math with their fingers. I know teachers might not like that, but you can do your times tables, teach them how this clock works with all the... It makes everything simpler. I don't know, maybe that will make more sense as to why people argue about the different frequencies and tuning and all that stuff. For me, it correlates with this, the year of our Lord, our biological clock, music of the spheres, the harmony of everything. Even when you, I think if you take 432 and you times it by 5, you get 2160, which is the heavenly measurement of the diameter of the moon. So there's all kinds of great secrets held up in there, and you can unravel all of the old Manu Mysteriums, the great mysteries of life. Anyways, have a great day, people. Be blessed. One love. And I think Tesla was on to something. Take care.